Hello, and welcome back to the Introduction to Watercolor class. In this video, I will be talking briefly about color theory and how it relates to color mixing. Let's begin with the colors yellow, red, and blue. In painting, these colors are generally regarded as the primary colors. Primary refers to their importance in color mixing. Using these three colors, we can mix them together to create every other hue. Mixing two primary colors together will give us a secondary color. Violet, orange, and green are the secondary colors. Before we move on, let's dispel a myth about color mixing and color theory. When we're dealing with paints, pigments are different. They react differently to each other. The quality of the paint makes a difference. I can't always mix two primary colors in equal amounts and expect to get a perfect looking secondary color. Let's take yellow and blue for instance. Mixing these two in equal amounts is not going to give me a perfect green. I'll probably need to mix much more yellow than blue in the mixture to get a green that is halfway between yellow and blue. If I mix these two in equal amounts, I'll probably end up with a blue-green. In between each primary color and the secondary color next to it, we have what are called tertiary or intermediate colors. The name of each of these colors is a combination of the primary color and the secondary color that's next to it. The tertiary colors are yellow-green, yellow-orange, red-orange, red-violet, blue-violet, and blue-green. You can see that these colors form a circle. This is referred to as the color wheel. The color wheel is a circular, continuous arrangement of colors that helps to understand color mixing. In the center of the color wheel, I'm going to paint a color created by mixing the three primary colors together. This creates a neutral tone. Each color has certain properties that make it similar or different than other colors. There are three properties of color that are most often referred to. The first property is hue. This refers to the color name or its position on the color wheel. The second property is value. This refers to the lightness or darkness of the color. Lighter versions of a color are known as a tint. For instance, pink is a tint of red. A darker version of a color is known as a shade. For instance, maroon is a shade of red. With watercolor, we mix tints of original colors by adding water to them. The more water we add to the mixture, the lighter the color will get, and the lighter the tint of that color. To make shades of a color, we need to add a darker color with it. We can do this by adding colors like black, or an opposite color, or a complement. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. The third property of color is intensity. This refers to the saturation, strength, or brilliance of a color. Colors are the most brilliant right out of the tube or sitting right here in the palette. As soon as we mix other colors with them or mix water with them, they lose intensity. Adding complementary colors really lowers the intensity. Speaking of complementary colors, now we're going to talk about color groups. There are several different groupings of colors that artists find important. Complementary colors are one of them. Complementary colors are opposite colors on the color wheel. The most common pairs of these are red and green, blue and orange, and yellow and violet. When placed side by side, these colors complement each other by making each other appear more intense. When mixed together, they darken each other and lower each other's intensity. By mixing two of these colors together, we can create a neutral color. Other groups of color that are important to think about in painting are warm and cool colors. Yellow, yellow-orange, orange, red-orange, and red are usually thought of as warm colors. Green, blue-violet, and violet are usually referred to as cool colors. Artists use warm and cool colors to create a sense of distance. For instance, warm colors tend to look like they're closer to you. Cool colors tend to recede in space or look like they're further away. Artists also use warm and cool colors to create the effects of light and shadow. Usually light sources are warm, and so we tend to find the warmer colors in areas of highlight or light and cool colors in areas of shadow where the light is being blocked. We have analogous colors, groups of color that are close to each other or side by side on the color wheel. Yellow, yellow-green, and green would be considered analogous colors. So would red, red-violet, and violet. Some groups of color are important for creating color schemes. A color scheme is simply an artist's plan of specific colors to use for a painting. For instance, the primary colors form what's called a triad. We will be using this color scheme for an upcoming lesson. The secondary colors also form a triad. There are many others that we're not going to spend the time to talk about in this video. Let's talk a little bit more about complementary colors, since this will be part of an upcoming project. Previously I said there are three pairs of colors that are most often referred to by artists as complementary colors. These are yellow and violet, red and green, and blue and orange. I've created a small variegated wash of each of these color pairs. By gradually blending them together, you can see that adding a color's complement will make it darker and more neutral. These color combinations are popular among artists. Sometimes limiting the number of colors in a painting can make it more striking or interesting to look at. It can also emphasize the effects of light and shadow. In these three pairs, one of the pair is a warm color and the other is a cool color. So by using any of these combinations, you can create a sense of light and shadow. By mixing each of these two colors together with more pigment and less water, I can get a very dark neutral color. Oftentimes I use complements to create neutral tones, like earth colors or gray that I use for shadows. It's even possible to mix a visual black using complementary colors. I hope this video helps you understand color theory and color mixing a little better. In the next lesson, we're going to put this knowledge of color to use. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.